You don't need me to tell you, Japan is a fabled travel destination by many people the world over. Historically rich, technologically sound, and well known for cleanliness, Japan boasts exploration that one could not fill in a lifetime. And I went there to see a giant robot. Alrighty, I look like a mess, but alright, tonight is the 2nd of February. I just bought my tickets to Japan. The life-size Gundam goes down in March 31st. That's the whole crux of my journey. I gotta be there to see it before it's taken down, and now I'm actually able to travel and do it. Right now, I'm nervous, mostly because this will be my first time traveling by myself internationally, so this will be a new experience, but overall, there's excitement. Excitement indeed. Since this is my first time traveling alone, I would get to do it the way I wanted to, which didn't mean going to touristy locations. I wanted to focus on things I'm passionate about, and some of those things are skating, Gundam, Godzilla, Lego, and Warhammer. And Japan has all of those things. My flight from Sky Harbor to LAX was March 2nd, then from LAX to Haneda Airport the same day. However, my flight from Sky Harbor got delayed by like 6 hours. Rescheduling the first flight wasn't possible with the options I had, and by the time I'd land in LAX, I'd be too late for my flight to Haneda. So I had to book a separate flight from LAX to Haneda with a different airline, which costed me another $200. I had to do that though in order to save this whole trip. Thankfully, this process was really smooth. When I got to LAX to sort this out, I received the cleanest airport service I ever had. It was as if I booked this flight the whole time. Also, box full of breast milk? Yes, sir.
Oh my goodness. It's so small in here.
When we landed, I wasn't expecting the customs to get into Japan, like the separated lines and the papers you had to fill out if you're a foreigner, which admittedly, I was kinda lost for a bit, but I got through it and I could now focus on getting to my hostel, which was about 30 minutes away from Haneda Airport in Taito. Unfortunately for me though, I had trouble finding the right taxi pickup area and I was left stranded at the airport. I had called 2 different Ubers and both of them had to leave me because I took too long to find them. It was past 11 p.m. and that's when my hostel closed for check-in. Thankfully the airport had a hotel in it, which was really nice and the first time I'd ever seen a hotel in any airport.
So here it is walking in. First thing we're gonna check out is the bathroom. It's a little wet because I just took a shower. For what it is, it's pretty great, I think. Shower's nice, toilet's got a bidet, and when it was steamy, this part of the mirror was still like visible. You know, the bed, it's a bed. Over here is kind of like a love seat area, which is just something I wasn't expecting, so, you know, that's nice. And yeah, overall, pretty simple. And for what it is and what you get for the price I paid, I feel like it's not bad. I figured it's very much needed after 11-12 hours in a plane. Yeah, that is Japan, I guess, day 0.5. It's not really a full day. Travel pandemonium already, but hey, it wouldn't be a solo trip without some of that, right? Okay, good night.
After a much-needed night's sleep and the most balanced breakfast I'd ever had in my life, I once again tried to call an Uber, but not before looking for the proper taxi pickup area, which I found I had just straight up not noticed it the night before. It was even labeled taxi pickup and I just didn't see it. So, oh well, sucks for me.
My dumbass finally found the proper taxi pickup area. It was literally like on the other side where I was going from last night, so oh well. All things considered, I don't regret it.
Finally, I got a taxi and got my first personal views in Japan, which was all new to me. Not just because this was my first time in Japan, but I really hadn't seen any city like it. I've traveled internationally before. I've been to Italy, France, Taiwan, Philippines, Canada, Mexico, but by far, in just this car ride alone, Japan stood out to me the most, and I loved what I was seeing. Finally, I made it to my hostel, Hotel Graphi in Taito, right next to Ueno Park. This place was awesome. Right when I walked in, it felt warm and welcoming. I was eating there consistently during the week, and this is essentially a small restaurant as well. After resting for a bit, I decided to walk around and make for my first venture, outside.
Alright, not me having more problem with public transport. I just spent like 20 more minutes on the train than I had to because I couldn't figure out which train was going which direction. But I'm on my way to the skate shop where hopefully I'll buy a skateboard.
I had time to check out Prime Skateboard, a skate shop near Akihabara. I love the feel of this place, and I was excited to get a board here. I was feeling this pink board, but all of these boards I saw were made in China, and that really made me question the quality of them. So on this day, I didn't buy anything, but as you'll see in a bit, I'd return very soon. On my way back home, I was feeling dinner, and coincidentally, I passed by a McDonald's, and my monkey brain goes, "Ooh, I know that." And I know what you're probably thinking. Oh, why would you have McDonald's of all things when you're traveling? Why don't you try new things? Shut up. Trying Western restaurants in foreign countries while traveling, I think is just as interesting. Like the McDonald's in France, they had crepes. The McDonald's in Japan has the Samurai Mac. Did I try it? No, I didn't know about it until I looked it up while writing this script. But god damn it, the food here just felt cleaner. Like, it didn't have as much grease. Furthermore, the whole place was so much quieter than any McDonald's I'd been to. No yelling, no children crying, just people sitting down and enjoying their meal. What a novel concept. Also, the Sprite bites just as hard in Japan. I went back home, but not before taking in some of the Tokyo neon before the sunset. I even stared at Akihabara right in its face, but I had to save it for later. Mostly because it was getting really cold, which I was not prepared for. I didn't have a jacket on me, and I was being a huge pansy about it, and I didn't want to walk around freezing, so I went back home for the night. Day 2 had a full itinerary, which included finally visiting the Gundam factory. I started by visiting Hakuhinken Toy Park in Ginza.
Hello.
Which, on the way there, I saw a Hooters? Hell yes, I'm eating there at some point. Anyway, I had heard there was a bunch of old Lego sets at Toy Park, which I was looking forward to possibly buying some. But when I got there was virtually no Lego to speak of. There were some boxes, but really nothing of note. Oh well, there was a whole other store for me to look at. The kaiju section definitely caught my eye. Here I saw a ton of figures that I had never seen in person. I only ever saw them in toy reviews growing up, so to be face to face with them, finally, was very surreal. Of course I picked up a few for myself, specifically some Godzilla figures. There was also a whole Studio Ghibli section, which was really cute, and had a lot of unique merch I'd never seen before. I was about ready to leave the shop until I saw it started to rain. Thankfully the shop also sold umbrellas, so I got one there.
I had to buy an umbrella.
After that, I went back to the skate shop from yesterday and took a closer look at all of the boards. After doing some more research, I read about a Japanese-owned brand called Evison, which it turns out some of the boards in the shop were made by Evison. I picked one out, talked to the shop owner, and got to making a new board. The birth of a new board, I think, is really special. It's easy to see it as just a tool for a sport, but between the board and the skater is a special connection. I'm gonna go skating with this wherever I can. Maybe even where I'm not supposed to. I'm gonna travel with it and get it beat up and dirty. Hopefully, it'll last me years. You can't say that about much else.
Thank you. Thank you. Can I step on it first?
The shop owner, Shintaro, was so cool. Alongside skating, fashion is his job as well. He travels to LA for work often. Thanks to Google Translate, we had a great conversation, and it turns out I'm not the first person from Arizona to visit his shop. He recommended me a place to skate, which I would visit later in the week. We said our farewells, and it was on to the next thing. At this point in the day, it was still raining, alongside being less than 50 degrees and windy, so the weather was definitely beating me up. Normally I love these kind of conditions, but not while traveling. I decided to drop off all of my stuff at my hostel before heading to the Gundam factory.
Alright, I am here in Yokohama, where unfortunately I severely underestimated how long it would take me to get here by train. So unfortunately, I actually missed the time for my viewing, but my ticket for the Gundam factory itself is good for the whole day, so I'm here to make use of that, and I'll at least still have Friday to see it again. Looking at it now, my phone camera can't do this justice. It really looks incredible. The factory being next to the ocean makes this feel so much more thematic. It's really incredible to look at. There's a whole ass ship, and then next to it is a mech. How could you not like that?
The Gundam factory has 2 ticket options. One visit to the factory itself, which is good for a whole day, and another to go into the dock and see the Gundam at shoulder height, which is only good for a 15-minute time slot. By the time I got to the factory, I had missed my dock viewing, but I could still get inside, where finally, I saw her.
Confirmed. ABC is up and running. The torque value does not exceed the limit.
でもやってやりますよ。ミッションに集中するように。違
うわ。この信号はコックピットから発信されている。
こちらガンダム。ミッションコントロール。応答してくれ。こちら。君は誰だ。この声はアムロレイ。アムロレイ。あの伝説のミュータイプ。僕は最後まではっきりと覚えている。隕石落としを止めるために敵も味方も関係なく。なぜ自分の命を懸けてまでアクシスを止めようとしたんですか。それは自然なことだよ。
信号は F00 自身から発信されています。
まさかオリジナル AI が自らの意思でメッセージを送っているというのか。未来へと向かう可能性をつないでいく、そういう運命なんだ。そんなこと言われたって。
I showed up just in time to see the RX activate. In the middle of the rain, it was an extra exciting detail to see the water pour off of her armor. I felt like I was living a shot from Pacific Rim. I'd be lying if I said I didn't cry. All of this time and anticipation to see this miracle of engineering was extraordinary. In the gift shop, I basically bought one of everything. I went nuts in there. At the factory was also a cafe where I had dinner. I ordered 2 of the Gundam burger, which tasted fantastic. The first one I absolutely demolished. The second, I was about ready to give the same fate. You can see how satisfied I am here. But I very quickly hit a wall and had to save it for later. After eating, I basically stuck around until closing. Needless to say, I was pretty emotional after that, and I still had to walk home in the cold, windy rain. It didn't let up at all. If anything, it got a bit more intense.
You know, one of the warnings that was issued to me was to not walk home alone at night. And while that is currently exactly what I'm doing, I must say, for the most part, I do feel safe currently. I'll be fine. It's just raining and it's cold, you know. It's not super late. There's other people on the street. I'm mostly just recording right now for my own sanity.
Today, I would mostly spend in bed. Originally, I had planned to spend today in Legolands, which from where I was in Tokyo was about a 3 to 4 hour train ride to Nagoya. However, I was tired with a capital T. No way in hell was I about to do a whole day trip just for Legoland, which I didn't mind missing out on anyway because in essence, all Legolands are the same. And I've been to the one in San Diego, so I'm good. I got breakfast at my hostel and was a potato for most of the day. Now so far for my stay, it was just me in my room. Until now. I heard the front door open and luggage roll in, and at first I thought, "Aw man, party is over," but I saw my roommate hanging out in their bunk bed and I just said hello. We got to talking and they were thankfully really cool. Her name's Zoe and she was also solo traveling. Toward the evening, I had gathered enough energy to explore Akihabara for a bit, to which Zoe asked if she could join me, and of course I said yes. That night I intended to go to the Warhammer Cafe, which I didn't know was there until I looked it up. I brought Zoe with me, and it was her first time seeing Warhammer or anything, so as a fan myself, I had to give her the indoctrinating Warhammer speech. This place was awesome. The displays were immaculate. They had a ton of vintage Warhammer merch that I didn't know was a thing. This was also my first time seeing Forge World products in person. Also, Lord of the Rings models in store, that was a first for me. I went nuts in here as well, but I wanted to focus on buying things I could only find here. And this was the mantra for my whole shopping experience while I was in Japan. And since I'm buying Warhammer, I did a good amount of damage to my credit card. After the Warhammer Cafe, Zoe and I were feeling dinner, which she had pitched going to a maid cafe, which I thought, hell yes. Akihabara had no shortage of maid cafes. There was one just around the corner that we went to. On the way there, I couldn't help but notice lines of women handing out little pamphlets. At first, I just didn't know what to make of it. What are these pretty girls handing out? A friend of mine who's been to Japan before told me they're handing out little paper ads for their cafe. Now, seeing them at first might seem cute, but keeping in mind the weather at this time of year and the work culture in Japan, I can't help but feel bad for these girls. I hope they're at least paid well. Anyway, we went to the maid cafe, which they didn't allow recording in, but it was everything I expected and more. At one point, one of the girls did a dance routine, and they give out merch just for visiting. I'm sure if we came during the weekends, it would be popping off. Also, the food is great too, and made to look cute as well. The next morning, Zoe and I went and got breakfast. We tried this cubicle ramen place, which was awesome. A highlight for me was this coffee dessert, which felt super refreshing. After that, I got a tattoo. After the Gundam factory, I was reminded of an idea to get the RX head as a tattoo. Then I thought, why not do it now in Japan? I looked up tattoo shops nearby and found Tattoo Seek in Ueno. At the time of this recording, this place has English-speaking staff and takes walk-ins, so it's great for foreigners making spontaneous decisions like myself. The tattoo artist's name was Kiwi, and she's only here for a limited time, so depending on when you're watching this, she may not be working at this location anymore. But she did great work, and I was really satisfied with my tattoo. Also, Zoe came with me. This was her first time in a tattoo shop, so this felt extra special. Afterward, I went to look for lotion for my tattoo, which Zoe was being a real homie about, and she helped me look. We walked around for a bit, then I went on my own to check out the other life-size Gundam in Daiba. What I didn't know was there were these rainbow stairs next to it, which I did the only thing I could think of while there. I proceeded to the Gundam base, but not before getting a bit lost in the mall, because this place is huge. It's 7 stories and the Gundam base is at the top, which sounds simple to get to, but there was a lot there and I was losing my bearings. Eventually, I found it, and good lord. I have never seen so many mecha in one place in my life. It really felt like they had every Bandai official Gundam ever made on display. I'm pretty sure they did. As well as some diorama models that tickled the Warhammer in me. In terms of shopping, I wasn't thinking about getting multiple kits, because I knew I only had to get one. The perfect grade RX-78-2, which the store was sold out of. When I went to the perfect grade section, it was completely cleaned out, as was the master grade section. It was pretty busy in the store, even for a weeknight. So much of the place was picked clean and had a lot of repeat products on shelves. So I just thought, oh well, I'll cut my losses. I'll settle for a lesser version of the RX, the real grade version in particular, and I got a few keychains. Then as I went to the checkout area, I saw some perfect grade RX boxes on display, which I thought were for display only. As I started checkout, the lady at the register asked if this is all I wanted. I pointed at the perfect grade box behind her and said, "Is that one for sale?" And she said yes. So I ditched the real grade and got the perfect grade. I got it, ladies and gentlemen. I was a little wide-eyed at the total, but that's okay. I knew what I was getting myself into. As I walked out, I spent more time with the unicorn and saw the display show for a bit. On my way back home, I went to the Hooters in Ginza for dinner, which I don't really drink, but I was feeling celebratory. I began day 5 exploring more of Ueno Park, taking a look at the few cherry blossom trees that bloomed early, which at this time of year, cherry blossom season just started, so I missed out on most of the trees blossoming. That's okay though, since it's not really why I was here. I went to check out the Godzilla store in Shinjuku, which at first I wasn't really impressed with the size of it, but the shop absolutely made up for it with the sheer amount of unique merch it had. The store had a lot of Godzilla figures I'd never seen in person, and a lot of merch I didn't know was a thing, like these Godzilla hamster pieces, which were really cute, these production art books, which was a great surprise, and artwork for Shin Godzilla that I've never seen before. After my rampage, I went upstairs for a shopping feature that I've never encountered anywhere else. In Japan, a lot of shopping centers give tax returns on your purchase. I went to get one for mine and got like 5,000 yen back, which was freaking awesome. Imagine if this practice was done in the West. I don't think people would be civil about it. After that, I saw on Google Maps there was a Godzilla head statue not too far from the shop. I went to check it out and was surprised to see Godzilla Street, which led to the Godzilla head statue atop the Toho Shinjuku building. I didn't have time to go inside. I also didn't know what was in there, but this was fun to see, of course.
He looks so cool. He's huge. Oh, I can't zoom in. Look at him. He's right there.
Today, I had another ticket to the Gundam factory. From this point in Shinjuku, I had two options. Go to the Gundam factory from here and very uncomfortably lug all of my stuff around, or go back home to drop off everything and risk being late to my dock viewing again. I chose to go back home, and consequently, I missed my dock viewing a second time.
Once again, I have missed my time for the dock viewing at the Gundam factory, but once again, I don't care. I'm gonna make use of my day ticket. I just gotta take my losses. At least I get to see her again.
This was my last farewell to the RX. Well worth the whole journey to Japan just to see this. So for me, this equates to a 3 Michelin star restaurant. I've heard rumor the plan is to replace the RX with a different Gundam. I think maybe the Barbados or the Unicorn. I've seen some mention the Strike Freedom, which would be even more insane. Whatever they choose, I'll be there. But for now, it's goodbye to the RX-78-2. Thank you for the epic memories. After the factory, I went to try this air cabin I saw on the way here. It takes you to the other side of the water, then you can get off from there or make a round trip. It was really pretty, but I couldn't help but think of something else.
These steps are so freaking steep, man. They're more like steeps. Get it? Because they're steep steps. Not only is it 40 degrees out, probably colder now. Actually, yeah, that's it. It's just really cold. Oh, hello. Sorry. Come in.
Thank you.
Sorry, I'm just...
Trying to put all things.
Yeah.
Wow. Did you buy something today?
Maybe.
The next morning, I took it pretty slow. I had a lovely beef stroganoff, which I very begrudgingly had the salad that came with it. I don't normally eat vegetables, but my whole time here, I did it just out of respect to the chefs. Not too long after, I set out for Korokuyo Minashima Skateboard Park. Just rolls off the tongue, eh? On my way there, I happened to stumble across these Godzilla statues that were at the Toho Theater. Really cool. Finally, I arrived. It's by the ocean, which frickin' rules, and has a lot of greenery around it too, which made for really fresh air. Before I got too comfortable, one of the park staff came up to me and said, through Google Translate, it costs money to be here, which, of course, I didn't know, but I went in and paid the fee, which I think was only $2. No matter how much it was, I wanted to skate there. The staff was really cool about it, and everyone there were definitely all better skaters than me. I can't really do tricks, I just cruise, but that didn't stop me from having a good time. I loved this place, and as I stared into the falling sunset on the water, I couldn't help but feel I was falling in love with Japan as well. At this point in my trip, I was expecting to feel homesick. Such was the fate for pretty much all of my other trips abroad. But for the first time ever, I actually wouldn't have minded staying. So, this lane is for bikes, this lane is for pedestrian walking, and as tempting as it is to ride my board down this way, I really don't want to risk Kano and calling the cops on me, especially here. So, yeah, I'm just watching. Before going home, I spent the evening exploring more of Akihabara, starting by getting a drink at the Warhammer Cafe, which began to feel like home as well. Then really close by was a cat cafe. I didn't know what to expect here. When I went in, I realized it's more of a therapeutic kind of place. Like somewhere you'd go after work or school and hang out with a bunch of cats and sip on coffee or tea. They also had a selection of manga, and you could watch TV or play games. I didn't stay too long though, as I was getting hungry. Directly below this cafe was a Carl's Jr., which really plucked at my heartstrings. I got 2 Western bacon cheeseburgers. The first one was divine. The second one made me kind of sick. I still had time to explore afterward, so I went into some of the shops nearby. Of course, I had to find a fabled artwork section. You know, it took longer than I thought it would for me to find some, but when I did, good lord, they don't hold back in here. A lot of the shops had the same layout. The first few floors were all figures, then a gaming floor, a manga floor, the, hentai floor, then the live action adult entertainment section, which only then that's when they put an 18 plus restriction. I guess they don't consider hentai to be an issue because it's drawn. Now, believe it or not, I didn't buy anything here. I saved that for the last day, tomorrow. Also, skating in Akihabara, baller move. Yes, sir. You know it. Okay, time to stop. For my last day in Japan, I started by getting omurice for brunch. I've been making my own omurice lately, and after trying Japanese-made omurice for the first time, I now know what I'm doing wrong. Afterward, I visited Harajuku, the fashion district, which I'm glad I packed my nice jacket for, but even then, I felt really underdressed here. Most of everyone was wearing something bespoke or really chic, and I felt so normie. Here I'd find the Sailor Moon store, which, just like the Godzilla store, was pretty small, but had a great selection of merch. They also had some Sanrio stuff. Right next to the Sailor Moon store was this shop that I believe was called Chaotic Technology. The theme was wearable street tech and like cyberpunk armor. They had a lot of cool stuff, but at this point, I had to calm down a bit with the shopping, so I only got a few things. I kept exploring more of the mall, still feeling underdressed. I then returned to Akihabara and spent more time at the Warhammer Cafe, and tried another drink. Can you tell I love it in here? Here I wish I tried one of the esports lounges, but that's just something else I can try when I return. Even though I know I would get absolutely demolished. In the evening, Zoe met me here and we explored more of the shops in the area. One of which was iAnimate, which had a large selection of everything anime and gaming you could think of. And it would be here that I would procure some high quality reading material. These shops in Akihabara are really insane. Basically, take a vendor floor at Comic-Con, condense it to one building, and that's what it is. And even then, it wouldn't cover everything you could find. Around every corner, there would be something I didn't expect to see, like a sealed Neo Geo in the gaming section, also a Japanese copy of Symphony of the Night, which, if I had a working PS1 or 2, I definitely would have gotten. I saw a whole shelf of Spawn figures in Japan. Stuff like that goes to show that fandom has no boundaries. Anyway, Zoe and I bought our stuff and went home, but we wanted to walk instead of taking the train. I'm glad we did, because seeing the city neon is always amazing to look at, and the park at night really feels special. We wrapped it up with dinner, and that completed my last full day in Japan. In the morning, Zoe and I said our farewells. I gave my thanks to the hostel staff and began my way back. This time the flight was a whole 2 hours shorter, which was a great surprise. Also, the in-flight movies included the entire Lord of the Rings trilogy, which by the time I finished them, it was time to land, so that was awesome. As soon as I landed in LAX, I immediately felt depressed. Like, great, I gotta hear Americans and their dumb accents again. I went from a fandom Elysium to one of the most disgusting cities on Earth. When I got back to Phoenix, I was greeted with an Arizona sunset, which was really quite nice to be welcomed with. Unpacking, of course, was its own process. I'm sure you want to see the haul, right?
And so behold, the incredible haul from Japan, which, not including tax and kind of nerfing it a little bit, if I really want to round up, this is all worth like 2,500? Yeah, 2,000 to 2,500, something like that. Yeah. Not going in any particular order. I'm just gonna be like kind of darting around. This is a bunch of vintage Warhammer artwork. There's some cute cat socks, Godzilla dress socks, other clothing here. We got some shirts from the Gundam Factory, United Nations Godzilla Countermeasure Center, Army jacket. Some shirts from the from the Hooters in Ginza. I just got this bracelet and this little thigh armor piece. This cool little ring. Some Warhammer stuff here. And then some mystery emblem pins. More keychains. None of these are for me. These are all going out to friends. Now, I can't keep ignoring this one. The perfect grade RX-78-2 Gundam. My very first Forge World model. Just the bottle of Smirnoff Ice that I finished at the Hooters in Ginza. And here's some Lord of the Rings models. A bunch of Godzilla figures. So something from the Sailor Moon store. Some cute stationery, a magnet from the Gundam Factory, a bunch of stickers from the Godzilla store, just some postcards that I thought were funny, some more artwork, and then some magnets. Little notebook here. This here's a keychain I got visiting a maid cafe. Now back at the Sailor Moon store, these really cute charms, character cards. Another Sailor Moon keychain. This is a cinema roll headband, acrylic stand of the unicorn, another cute keychain here. This little like mask pierce, Millennium era Gigan keychain. There's some more Godzilla keychains, a little Fortune Godzilla, two different RX-78 keychains, some more stuff from the Sailor Moon store, from the Warhammer store, and then one more keychain from the Gundam Factory. The newest addition to my boards, little mug from the Gundam Factory. There's a little cookie container, little thermos. One of the unique Gundam kits that can be found at the Gundam Factory. To the books. Sort of art books, but here it's specifically visual books. quite possibly the largest art book I own now. Some PG rated reading material. This here is a cookbook, this sticker, and these comics. And this here, the official book for the Gundam Factory. Art book for Ultraman, and this here, a Gundam art book. This is the Japanese localized Tyranids 10th edition codex, Warhammer 40k Rogue Trader rulebook. Apart from all of the shopping bags, that's the haul. It's gonna take me a moment to financially recover from this, but hey, when in Rome, excited to get cracking at all of this at some point.
All in all, I loved my time in Japan. What really had me melancholy when I got back was feeling like I may not see all the people I met ever again. But who knows? Connections could show up anywhere. I've been wanting to do this trip for years, and I'm happy it turned out as great as it did. It was also a great lesson in time management, and the next time I go, I don't expect to be spending as much money as I did now. I'd love to make this an annual thing, just a week or two trip. I love how celebrating fandom is commonplace in Japan. The cleanliness and, oh my god, the trains. This is by far my best experience with public transportation in any region. Being able to basically access all of Tokyo from any point feels empowering, and only takes a little bit longer than driving. It makes driving in Japan not nearly as pertinent as it is in the States, which, don't get me wrong, I love driving, but imagine not having to worry about gas and insurance and all that with your car. Needless to say, I love Japan, and I cannot wait to return. These travel chronicles are something I've been wanting to do for a long time, and Japan has always been the first one I wanted to do. Personally, another place I really want to go to is Iceland, but one thing at a time. If you made it this far, thanks so much for watching. Jikai made. Sayonara.